All right, 5 minutes this morning on Am I attracted to toxic people? This came up in my mind for a couple reasons. One is I was watching some videos yesterday about kind of this idea of like how not to attract toxic people into your life. And I feel like what was being discussed mostly was this idea that people have, and I've had it as well, that like that I'm sort of attracting toxic people into my life and wondering why. This seems to be most common in relationships. I can think back in my own kind of dating history and think like, wow, there's been all these people in my life that, later looking back, it's easy for me to say something like, oh, I think that person's toxic, or, they had toxic energy, and, things were really bad because that person's toxic. And I think it's easy to come up with a lot of justifications for that judgment, lots of good reasons. If I'm talking to a friend, obviously I'm going to have the best argument for why that person's toxic. Anyways, I was watching some of these YouTube videos on it, and it seems to revolve mostly around that, like, techniques for not attracting toxic people into your life. And yeah, I've had that same kind of experience sometimes, and, not just in relationships, but, I've talked about this in some of my journal posts here, feeling like, especially in the last, 3 years with now having a disability, there seems to be this never ending flow of potential conflict my way and different types of conflict. But I won't go into that. It's just sort of the question arises in my mind of like, why is this happening? Like, why are negative or conflicty people coming towards me, which then feels like triggers me and triggers my energy to be negative and conflicty, when that's not really how I see myself. I mean, I don't actually think I'm all that negative of a person in my core. It feels easy to want to blame, these other people or, other situations that seem to just like appear out of nowhere. But I was also thinking, what if it's that I'm actually attracted to toxic people? What if I'm actually attracted to conflict? I think there might be some truth to that, because I notice that, the kind of people that I pay attention to, like my focus scores goes to, will be conflicty people. Or I'll notice people that right away look like something crazy is going on, which initially feels like an interest. Like, oh, here's a person, they look interesting, maybe they look artistic, and there's something in me that feels like maybe relatable to that, or, like wants to move towards that out of curiosity and interest. But then I almost see that's where the problem lies. Like, why am I why am I mostly interested in people that look like or seem to have issues or problems? Is that because I have issues and problems? Maybe. But, you know, maybe that's the problem. Maybe it's I'm actually attracted to these type of people. I'm attracted to conflict, and because of that, uh, when I see a conflict or I see somebody that might be toxic, I actually tend to move towards it, which of course brings it into my life, brings it into my energy, and then I've got this story of this like conflict, or something shitty happen, which makes a lot of sense. I mean, I feel like noticing that doesn't mean I necessarily have a solution for that right away. I sometimes don't feel in control of what I'm attracted to or what I'm, tend to pay attention to. I do a little bit, but It kind of reminds me of that. Most people most people have seen that there's this meme or this kind of like Instagram like video where there's this guy with a puppet in the park, and there's a guy in the park that is saying like stop filming me, but even as the camera and the puppet move away, the guy keeps moving towards the camera, keeps coming towards them. And the puppet the whole time is saying like, well, why are you moving towards the camera? Like, why are you following us? Why do you keep looking at the camera if you don't want to be on camera? If you're annoyed by it, what? Can you see that you're the one that's facing the camera? Like, because in the video it becomes obvious that the guy could actually just like turn around and like go the other way. But that's not what's happening. It's just like, it's funny, but it's also this psychological revelation of how things work for a lot of us. And I thought it's a really funny video. And, you watch it and you think, like, oh, this guy's stupid. He could just like turn around. It's obvious he just wants the conflict. But I can see that in my own self in a lot of situations. I can regularly think about how something happens to me, and I will then move towards the conflict or the thing that's annoying or the thing that's aggravating, when in reality I have a lot more options. I could just like remove myself. And recently I've been experimenting a lot more with that in really small ways, but mainly like the thing I mentioned where um, I'm practicing just like not paying attention to other people as much, like when I'm out in public, out and about. Um, I've had this experience of like people giving me weird looks all the time because I'm in a wheelchair, and then again, it's like, right, well, I'm seeing those weird looks because I'm looking at those people. And if I don't look at people, then I won't see weird looks and I won't feel weird about it. So I'm attracted towards looking at the look that other people are giving me. And that's then, you know, supporting my confirmation bias that people are looking at me weird. So that's interesting. And I see how that applies to other things in my life, and how I meet people, the kind of people that I meet, the kind of people that I spend time with, and maybe opens up some ideas for me, some options that I could explore on how to like navigate this differently with this kind of awareness. So yeah, I thought I'd capture that as a post from a YouTube. Anyways, it's Friday here. It's beautiful. So happy Friday.